Welcome to Apple Teeny, where today it's lawsuits, chunky iPhones, and the strange immortality of FileMaker. Apple's allegedly fighting a full-on trade secret raid, while also maybe making the iPhone Pro thicker on purpose. And somehow, in the middle of all that, FileMaker is still running serious systems like it's 2004 and winning. The wildest story here is Apple suing OpenAI and basically saying this was not a few loose files walking out the door, this was a coordinated operation. Apple names former execs Tang Tan and Chang Liu, and the complaint says OpenAI systematically took confidential designs and used a shell company called OpenAI IO to hide what it was doing. That shell company detail is the kind of thing that makes everybody sit up straight, because if true, it sounds less like sloppy recruiting and more like a plan. Apple also alleges OpenAI misled suppliers to get proprietary metal finishing and battery process information, which is extremely not the normal way you build a hardware program. Then there's the scale. Apple says OpenAI recruited roughly 400 former Apple engineers, including senior hardware people, to speed up development by copying internal documentation. And the complaint says staff were told to ask Apple employees to bring sample components and confidential files. If even a chunk of this holds up, that's brutal. This stops being Silicon Valley poaching drama and starts sounding like someone confused hiring with vacuuming up the evidence locker. On the more fascinating side of Apple history, some of its on-device AI advantage apparently traces back to Project Titan, the dead self-driving car project that somehow kept giving after death. Work from that effort reportedly fed into neural engine development and then into the M series, which helps explain why Apple's local AI story has looked stronger than people expected. The roadmap rumors are also kind of nuts. Apple may skip an M6 Pro, Max and Ultra generation and jump to an M7 family in early 2027 with an M7 Ultra in 2028. And the headline grabber is support for up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM, which is the sort of number that makes normal humans blink twice, and people training models start smiling. There are also aggressive process node targets floating around, including talk of a 1.4 nanometer M8 line, and even marketing around sub-1 nanometer angstrom language. Which, to be fair, is where chip naming starts to feel a little like luxury apartment listings. The numbers are real enough to matter, but the branding gets slippery fast. Meanwhile, the iPhone 18 Pro may get thicker by as much as about 2 millimeters, and the Pro Max could land around 240 grams. That is not a tiny tweak. That is the phone equivalent of showing up after a bulk phase. The reason, reportedly, is bigger batteries, more thermal headroom, a stainless steel vapor chamber, and upgraded camera hardware like variable aperture. Honestly, I get it. The ultra-thin obsession has been elegant for years, but if the choice is pretty versus better battery, cooler performance, and stronger cameras, a lot of people will take the slightly chunkier rectangle. There is a limit, obviously. Nobody wants a titanium paving stone, but this feels like Apple admitting physics exists, which is refreshing. Then we have one of my favorite Apple-adjacent realities. FileMaker just refuses to leave. This thing still powers long-lived systems in places you would absolutely not guess, including a UK quiz show question database and Broadway sound tracking setups. And the bigger point is that boring software that works can become immortal. Even large tech firms reportedly still rely on it for critical back-end work. Apple is said to run its Apple Gift Card and AppleCare backend on FileMaker. That sounds funny until you remember migration is expensive, risky, and often way less glamorous than executives pretend. A stable old system that already does the job can beat a shiny rebuild every single day of the week. The AI tool story is the perfect modern contradiction. For experienced developers, coding assistants can genuinely improve output, helping find bugs, speed up repetitive work, and suggest useful fixes. But those same tools also let less skilled programmers ship things way faster, which means the internet gets more software, and a lot of that software is very much not better. So yes, AI can raise the ceiling and lower the floor at the same time. That's why people feel like coding tools are getting smarter, while apps keep getting weirder and buggier. Both things can be true, and currently, they sure look true. Speaking of weird behavior, leaks often aren't really about money. A lot of leakers are driven by ego, boredom, ideology, thrill-seeking, or just the intoxicating feeling of being the one person who knows the secret. And that's consistent with the fact that legal and editorial norms usually discourage paying sources because paying can turn into inducement and wreck credibility. Which means the stereotype of the mysterious cash for secrets pipeline misses the messier truth. A lot of leaks happen because somebody wanted attention, control, or a story to tell. A quick media detour, because this one is fun. The BBC comedy Ludwig became its biggest comedy launch since 2018, pulled the highest ratings for an original comedy, and got a fast third-season commission. That's a nice reminder that audiences can absolutely overrule internal expectations when a show actually connects. Apple TV, meanwhile, pushed its Emmy tally of 89 nominations as proof of depth, which is fair enough, but critics also pointed out some category weirdness. When a show gets nominated in only one category, or when drama versus comedy arguments start hinging on runtime gymnastics, award season starts looking like a tax code with better lighting. So that's the mood today. Apple may be building thicker phones, giant AI chips, and a courtroom flamethrower, while FileMaker quietly keeps the lights on. Thanks for hanging out with Apple Teeny. If your backend still runs on ancient software and pure stubbornness, honestly, respect. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.